The other day, I had a conversation with a guy who said his wife always gets upset and angry about the same things over and over and over again. And this is what I said to him. After he finished explaining himself, I just said, "Hey, can I encourage you? Can I tell you something?" And he's like, looked back at me and said, sure, go ahead. And I said, "Okay, listen, dude, here's something you have to understand. If it's predictable, then it's preventable. Okay. If it's predictable, then it is preventable. And you just told me that your wife always," which first of all is a big trigger word in the marriage space. If you use the words always or never, I kind of already know that you're in some deep mud in your mind. But anyways, regardless of that, I said, listen, if it's predictable, it's preventable. Okay. And if your wife is always getting upset about the same things, then there is a way to actually stop this. There's a way to figure something out and change something to where your wife doesn't always have to get upset about the same things. Because if she's always getting upset about the same things, maybe we could figure out a way to not make that happen. So what I want to do now is share with you the 4 different steps you can take if you find yourself in a similar situation, right? If your wife, you love her, you don't want to make her upset, you want a peaceful home, you want a unified, loving, thriving relationship, but you just find yourself getting into these situations all the time where your wife is getting upset about the same stuff over and over and over again, these are the 4 steps that you are going to want to do. The first thing, and this honestly is the hardest, you need to take ownership. Look, I get it that it's your wife that is getting upset, but what you have to do is you have to take ownership and responsibility and say, if I'm playing any role in her getting upset and angry over and over and over again about the same stuff, then it also means I can play a role in making sure this doesn't happen anymore. So the first thing you need to do is just take ownership and responsibility and say, hey, look, I've been playing a role in this. That means I can play a role in reversing this. And as soon as you take ownership, you take back the power to positively affect a new outcome. So that's what you need to do first, is take ownership and say, hey, I have a role to play, so I'm going to play it better. The second thing you can do is ask what I call the 5 whys. Now, the way that you do this is you need to have a conversation with your wife when she's not hot, right? She's not kind of upset and boiling about something, but you ask her the 5 whys. So whatever the case may be, you ask the first why. Like, why is it that this upsets you? Okay. And then you get the answer to that. And then you ask the second why. Okay, well, why does that piece of that upset you? And then you get the answer to that. And then as you start to get down, normally it takes about 4 or 5 whys. What you'll do is you will get to the core root of the issue or problem that is actually causing the anger. Because listen, here's the deal. When it comes to you getting upset as a husband or your wife getting upset in your marriage, it's never the thing. There's always a thing behind the thing, behind the thing, behind the thing. And if you figure that out, then you can actually start changing things and doing things to change the root of the problem instead of just trying to solve this high-level problem that you're facing over and over and over again. You can actually start to affect the root cause of whatever's going on, and then you can start to see a different outcome. So the second thing you need to do is ask the 5 whys. Now, the third thing that you can do is find the big domino. Now, the big domino is the big thing that you can do to most positively affect an outcome or some kind of change. You just went through the process of asking the 5 whys, and now you've identified the core root of the problem or issue. Now what you need to do is find the big domino, right? Imagine you have a row of dominoes, and over here you have a bunch of small dominoes, but then you have a big, huge domino over here. If you push that big domino over, it's going to knock over all these other dominoes because, well, you knocked over the big one first. And so when it comes to changing or positively affecting some change and outcome in your marriage, a lot of people like to try all these little tiny things. I'm going to make this small tweak, and I'm going to make that small tweak, and that's cool. And there's a time and place for all of that. But I always like to ask the question, what's the one big thing that if I change it, about myself, how I communicate, what I do, how we interact together, if I change this one big thing, it knocks over 10 other things too. That is the big domino. And you can't find the big domino until you do step 2, right? The one we just talked about before this, and find the root cause. You find that root cause, you find the big domino of what you could do to change or positively affect the situation. And I guarantee you will start to have different outcomes. But after that, you have step 4. Now, step 4 is where most men fall short. Men, to be honest with you, fall short in all of these areas, but this one is the big one. Okay, you've stopped, you've slowed down, you've taken ownership, you've asked the 5 whys, you've found the big domino. Now what you need to do is actually freaking do something different. You need to implement and do the big domino consistently. Here's the deal. You can change something temporarily and you'll have temporary change. But if you do something consistently, you make a change that is repeated over time and implemented with consistency and love and care and actual genuine affection for your wife. It's not a, hey, I'm changing this because gosh dang it, I just want you to stop griping and pissing and moaning all the time. No, that's not why we change. We change because we have a heart of love and affection toward our wife, and we actually want to cause more unity in our marriage. And that's what we have to do with this 4th step. We have to actually change and implement that big domino action repeatedly again and again and again over time. Now listen, I'm telling you, if you do these 4 things with a heart of love for your wife and out of a heart of gratitude for your wife, and not a, hey, I just want you to shut up and not be pissed off and angry all the time, but hey, I want to love you like Jesus loves me. I want to lay my life down for you and love you as Christ loved the church. You do that in these 4 things, I guarantee you that you will start to see some positive change in your marriage. You will start to see more unity, more love, and ultimately you will start to re-spark some things that I guarantee you lost a while ago that you wish were still there and you haven't been able to figure out how to get them back. These 4 steps are how you start to do that.